World War II. It's such a massive moment in history,
Mm.
and its impact is still felt today.
Absolutely. It changed everything.
And while we often think about the battles, overseas, there was this whole other transformation happening right here in America.
That's what we're diving into, right? The home front.
Exactly. How the American home front basically geared up, changed completely, and became, well, a vital part of winning the war.
It's a huge story because that effort back home, it touched, every part of American life.
It really did.
Got it.
And yeah, it's vast.
Yeah.
So just to keep us on track, we're going to focus on the key ways the U.S. organized itself here, domestically.
Sort of the nuts and bolts of mobilization.
Yeah, how everyday life just shifted to meet these extraordinary demands of a global war. Okay,
Yeah.
so where do we start? This mobilization was huge.
Well, first things first, you need people. You need soldiers.
Right.
And that means the selective service. This was essentially the draft.
Mhm.
A system for the government to call up men to serve.
Okay, the draft. So it wasn't just guys volunteering.
There were definitely lots of volunteers, patriotic people signing up.
Right.
But the scale of the war, fighting across Europe, the Pacific,
Yeah, man.
you needed huge numbers. So the Selective Service Act gave the government the power to conscript enough people to fill the ranks of the Army, the Navy, the Air Force. It ensured they had the personnel.
Gotcha. Okay, so you've got the people, but those soldiers, sailors, airmen, they need equipment, lots of it. Weapons, vehicles, supplies.
And that's where American industry comes in. Just an incredible pivot.
And there's one name that always pops up here. Henry Kaiser.
Ah, Kaiser. Yes. He was this industrialist, a businessman who really shook up shipbuilding.
How so?
Well, he basically took ideas from, car manufacturing assembly lines and applied them to building ships. Big ships.
Assembly lines for ships. That sounds ambitious.
It was. Before him, building a cargo ship could take, almost a year sometimes. Kaiser's methods, he slashed that time down to weeks, sometimes even days at the peak.
Weeks from a year. That's
Yeah.
insane speed.
Total game changer for logistics. And this led directly to the Liberty ships.
Right. We hear about Liberty ships all the time. What exactly were they?
Okay, so Liberty ships were these cargo vessels. They were designed specifically to be built fast, using Kaiser's mass production techniques.
Not fancy, I take it.
No, not fancy at all. Kind of the workhorses of the sea. But they were sturdy enough, and crucially, they could carry tons of cargo. We're talking soldiers, food, tanks, ammunition, jeeps, everything needed overseas.
Wow. Just keeping the supply lines running must have been a nightmare.
Especially with U-boats out there. So getting these ships built quickly and in huge numbers was absolutely critical. They were, the lifeline.
Okay, so we have the soldiers from Selective Service and the ships from guys like Kaiser to supply them. But back home,
Yeah.
how do you keep millions of people unified, motivated, especially when things get tough?
Yeah, that's a huge challenge. And one tool they used very effectively was Hollywood propaganda.
The movies.
Exactly. Hollywood studios churned out films that were explicitly pro-war. They painted the enemy in a very negative light, obviously.
Sure.
Celebrated American heroism, showed brave soldiers, but also really stressed how important it was for everyone back home, every citizen, to do their part, contribute somehow.
So movies became more than just Saturday night entertainment. They had a mission.
Oh, absolutely. A clear purpose. Unite the country, boost patriotism, keep morale up, and even nudge people towards specific actions like buying war bonds or conserving resources. It was powerful stuff for shaping public opinion.
Speaking of resources,
Mhm.
with the military needing so much, how did they prevent,
Yeah.
chaos back home, shortages, prices going through the roof?
Right. That was a very real danger. And that brings us to the Office of Price Administration, the OPA.
OPA. Okay, what was their job?
Their main role was to control prices and rents. See, when you have huge demand, the military needing everything and maybe limited supply of consumer goods because factories are making tanks, prices can shoot up fast. Inflation makes sense. So the OPA set price ceilings on all sorts of goods and services to try and keep things affordable, keep the economy stable-ish.
So stop businesses from price gouging during a crisis.
That was definitely part of it. And they had another really important job tied into this, managing scarce goods through rationing.
Rationing. Yeah, I've seen the little coupon books. How did that work in practice?
Basically, essential goods that were in short supply, things like gasoline, sugar, coffee, meat, tires, shoes, were rationed.
Yeah.
Every family, every person got ration books filled with stamps or coupons for specific items. If you wanted to buy, say, a pound of sugar, you needed the money and the appropriate ration stamp.
So you couldn't just hoard stuff if you had the cash.
Nope. The idea was to ensure a fair distribution, make sure everyone got at least a little bit of the essentials, and, crucially, guarantee that the military's needs were met first. It really changed shopping, cooking, daily life.
I can imagine. Okay, so the OPA is managing prices and consumption. But who's making sure the factories are actually making the war stuff?
That was the job of the War Production Board, the WPB.
WPB, got
The
it.
WPB was like the director of American industry for the war. They had the authority to tell factories, okay, stop making refrigerators, you're making machine guns now. Or that car plant, it's building tanks.
Wow. They just told companies what to make.
Pretty much. They allocated scarce materials, steel, aluminum, rubber, deciding which factories got what based on military priorities. It was this massive centralized control over the entire industrial economy. A huge shift from peacetime.
That sounds like an unbelievable logistical challenge.
Right.
Coordinating all of that.
It absolutely was a
Yeah.
tremendous undertaking, but it was necessary to harness the full power of American manufacturing for the war.
Okay, so industry is churning out tanks and planes. But wars are, well, they're incredibly expensive. How did the U.S. pay for all this? It wasn't just taxes, was it?
No, not even close. Taxes went up, sure, but a huge amount of the funding came from war bonds.
War bonds. People lending money to the government.
Exactly. War bonds were essentially loans from citizens to Uncle Sam. You'd buy a bond for, say, $18.75. And years later, the government would pay you back $25.
Okay.
But it was much more than just a financial transaction. Buying war bonds was pushed heavily as a patriotic duty. It was framed as your way to directly support the troops, back the war effort. There were huge bond drives, celebrities promoting them.
So part investment, part civic duty.
Very much so. A way for everyone to feel like they were contributing financially, and that feeling of contributing, of doing your part, extended to other areas too, like victory gardens.
Victory gardens. I love this one. Explain what those were.
Victory gardens were simply gardens people planted wherever they could, backyards, empty lots, parks, window boxes sometimes.
To grow what?
Food, vegetables mostly, tomatoes, beans, carrots, lettuce, whatever they could grow.
And why was that important?
Well, a couple of reasons. First, every tomato grown in a backyard meant one less tomato that needed to be commercially grown, harvested, and shipped, freeing up agricultural resources and transportation for the military and allies.
Okay, practical.
And second, like buying bonds, it gave people, ordinary families, a tangible way to participate, to feel like they were actively helping, doing something productive for the war effort right there at home. Good for morale, too.
It really paints this picture of, well, everyone pitching in, from the factory floor to the backyard garden.
Exactly. And when you lay out all these pieces we've talked about,
Yeah.
the selective service, getting the soldiers,
Right.
the WPB directing factories with people like Henry Kaiser revolutionizing production to make things like Liberty ships,
Yeah.
the OPA managing prices and rationing to control scarce resources, Hollywood propaganda keeping spirits up and encouraging war bond purchases,
Yeah.
and even Victory Gardens supplementing the food supply. You see how it all interconnected. It was this whole system working together. Yeah.
It wasn't just one thing. It was everything. Everyone moving in the same direction. A total national effort.
Absolutely. A full-scale mobilization of American society, industry, and spirit.
And the impact of all this,
Yeah.
this domestic effort.
Oh, massive. Truly massive on the outcome of the war. Many historians argue that the sheer productive capacity of the American home front, the arsenal of democracy, as Roosevelt called it, was a decisive factor in the Allied victory.
Just overwhelming the enemy with production.
In many ways, yes. The ability to produce planes, ships, tanks, supplies on such an enormous scale, it gave the Allies a material advantage that was incredibly difficult to overcome.
And it must have forged a kind of unity, right? Facing that challenge together.
It certainly seems that way. Despite the hardships, the rationing, the worry about loved ones overseas, there's this powerful sense of shared purpose, a national unity that was quite remarkable. People from all walks of life finding ways to contribute.
So just to quickly summarize the big takeaways, the American home front mobilized through conscription, the draft,
Yep, selective service.
through a huge ramp up in industrial production, directed by the WPB.
With innovators like Kaiser playing key roles.
Careful management of resources with the OPA and rationing.
Crucial for stability and supply.
Financial contributions from citizens buying war bonds.
And direct action, like planting victory gardens.
And all underpinned by efforts, like Hollywood's, to maintain public support and morale.
That sums it up well. each part was essential to transforming the U.S. into the powerhouse that fueled the Allied war machine.
It really is an incredible story. The scale of it is just hard to grasp sometimes.
It truly is.
Okay, so to help everyone listening kind of process all this and check their understanding, here are a few questions to ponder based on our deep dive today.
Can you explain, maybe just in a sentence or two, why the Selective Service was so critical for America's war mobilization?
Yeah, what was its main purpose?
Second, how did Henry Kaiser's methods change things? What was the big impact of his shipbuilding innovations during the war?
Think speed and scale.
Third, what were some key ways the government managed resources, things people needed every day on the home front? And why was that even necessary?
Think OPA and rationing here.
Fourth, can you name at least a couple of ways ordinary Americans, people not in uniform, directly helped the war effort from home?
Bonds, gardens, other things.
And finally, the big picture question. When you consider everything, industry rationing, bonds, morale, what do you personally think was the most significant contribution the American home front made to winning World War II?
That's a tough one. Lots to consider there. Definitely something to mull over.